Last night, I'm just doing my thing. I think I was grading papers on Turnitin.com. I don't accept hard copies for my students anymore. So I'm grading papers at my computer. And my twin daughters and my wife go crazy because there's a moth in the house. They want me to kill a moth. And I'm telling them, don't worry, it's a moth, man. Moths are harmless. And they persisted, man. This moth was crazy. I had to kill it. It was flying all over. It was batting against the walls. And so I get up, and sure enough, this was a serious moth. This was a moth that had obviously been on a diet of whey protein powder, growth hormones. It was huge, as big as my fist, man. It was knocking against the walls. And I had nothing with me, man, except a T-shirt. I had a white T-shirt, man. And so, like, the Hulk, I ripped the T-shirt off me, and I spin it so it's a real taut, like a whip. And, man, I snapped that moth, man. And I snapped it so hard. I snapped that moth so hard that no one in my family could even find it after I hit it. It was in another room by the time I killed it. Body parts had scattered. There were actually 3 major body parts of this moth throughout the house. I had to clean it up, but that's not what I want to talk about today. I'm here to talk about Walter White and me. Walter White and I got punked by the American dream. The American dream brainwashed Walter White and me into believing you have to be a somebody. This is something I talked about a week ago. And to be a somebody doesn't mean to be a celebrity, to be famous, to have bling. But I always was so proud of myself for having this very clear vision of what it means to be a somebody. And I broke it down into 3 distinguishing characteristics. Number 1, you master a certain craft that is meaningful to you. Number 2, your mastery of that craft distinguishes you and separates you from other people who do it. That makes you a somebody. And number 3, you have a very high positive impact on other people. And that's just a belief I've always had. I believe if you fell short of that criteria, you were a loser, you were a mediocrity, you were just a consumer, you were just some dude sitting at your computer wearing a robe, eating a Hot Pocket. And I always believed it. And of course, believing that, you're always haunted by the possibility, maybe I'll never be a somebody. Maybe I'm destined to live my life as a nobody. I mean, in many ways, my dream of being published as a novelist has not been fulfilled. I did write a comic novel about our crazy political landscape over the summer. I wrote it in 2 months. I thought I was going to be famous. I actually thought I was going to move my family into a bigger house. And I was going to be able to have my own man cave instead of this, whatever you call this palace of craziness. Thought I was going to be buying new vehicles. But I was completely delusional. The literary agents told me to go home, man, with my tail between my legs. And I was told by a variety of people in publishing that the industry has gotten just more brutal in the last 10 years. So who knows? Maybe the book could have been published, and I don't know. But I don't see myself as a victim. But like Walter White, I still want to be a somebody, and I may be wrong. I'm here to tell you that I may be wrong, and I don't mind being wrong if it's a learning experience. To me, that's fine. To me, you are lame if you cling to a certain belief, if you cling to principles when evidence shows that you need to let go. And so here's what I want to tell you. I was talking about being a somebody to my freshman composition class. And there's this super smart student, and I like him quite a bit. I'm not going to use his real name. I didn't even ask him for permission to talk about him. So I'm going to call him Frank. Calling him Frank. And I was talking to the class about being a somebody, defining it like I just defined to you. And Frank said no. And Frank, by the way, is going to be very successful. I know he is. He works in computers and business. I know he's going to be big success. I'll probably be washing his Mercedes someday. Different story. So Frank says, no, man, I'm an existentialist, Frank tells me. An existentialist? Yeah, man, there are no absolutes in my worldview. You do what you like, man. And I believe he said, and I'm paraphrasing, not an extreme hedonism where you go crazy, but a certain modest hedonism is fine for some of us. A life of pleasure. You don't need to engage in this puritanical work ethic of being a master of some craft, distinction, having high impact on other people. He said, McMahon, we're all going to die. And we have different reasons for living. And they're not all the reasons that you're saying, McMahon. And I thought about it. And I've been thinking about it for the last 48 hours since I had this talk with Frank. And I think Frank is right. I think Frank is right for 3 reasons. I'm going to give you 3 examples. Number 1, Frank is an example. He doesn't feel the need to be a somebody the way I said it. He doesn't want to be a crazy hedonist who's addicted to stuff, but a certain modest hedonism suits him fine. And I think he wants to have a modicum of success so he can fuel his modest hedonism. And he's okay with that, and I'm okay with him being okay with it. Who am I to impose my somebody definition on Frank? Number 2, I know a woman in East LA, and she works at the courthouse, and she takes attendance when you have prospective jurors. And she makes about $90K a year with full medical benefits. She has excellent job security. Her job is rather cush, as we say. It's pretty easy. She takes roll twice. Takes roll in the morning. She takes roll after lunch. Takes attendance. When she's not taking attendance, she's in her office watching TV or reading a novel. And she's going to do that for the next 40 years, retire, and then go off into the eternity somewhere. I don't know. And I was telling my students about it. Would you like that job? And they all said, no! And you know what? It works for her. She's totally content with it. She has 4 children. And the love she has for her family and the duty she has as a mother are enough to make her feel fulfilled. She did not fulfill my definition of being a somebody, and she does not care. And God bless her. So there's another reason why I'm wrong. I'll give you a 3rd reason why I'm wrong. Why I'm completely going to be letting go of my definition of being a somebody. Walter White and I were wrong. At the Torrance Courthouse, there's another guy I know who also takes attendance, and his name, and he's famous, his name is Leroy. It's not Leroy, it's Leroy. And he'll make sure you pronounce his name correctly. And like the woman in East LA, Torrance Leroy takes attendance twice a day. Gives you a little brief orientation. Probably the amount of work he does throughout the day is minimal. He gets to has a lot of downtime, relaxing in his office. But the thing about Leroy, yeah, he's got some government job. Leroy is funny. He makes you laugh. He wins you over by the sheer power of his personality. You end up loving Leroy. He's so funny. He says, some of you are going to get called in because you're unlucky. You know who you are. Some of you just got bad luck every day. You've always had it, and you always will. And people are laughing, and Leroy is hilarious. And just the sheer power of his personality makes him a somebody without even adhering to the dogmatic definition that I've held to all over these years. So what am I going to do now that I know this? I don't know. Am I going to write another book? I might. Sometimes in life you have to do something. Sometimes you feel like you have to do something. And that's fine. It's just that what you have to do is not the same what other people have to do. So I'm becoming less of an absolutist. My student Frank helped me see this. Thank God, I'm trying to keep my mind open. And there are some smart people out there who are helping me let go of some of my delusions about what it means to be a somebody. And that is it for today. And until next time, I am out.